Today, I got something for the beginners. I want to show you guys, if you've never made a track before, how to go from scratch and build your own trance music. I'm using a bunch of sounds from my core trance pack, which is linked at the top of the description. It's a great place to get started with a bunch of stuff for making trance music. So, what we want to start with here is we want to use a BPM somewhere between like 135 BPM and let's say 160. I think those are kind of like the upper ranges for trance music. I like 145. And whenever you're making something like this, you always want to start with a kick. Alright, I like this one. What you're going to do then is you're going to have a MIDI track over here, which should be by default open in Ableton. If not, you can double click down here and then hit insert MIDI track. What you're going to do is select your kick and just drag it down to here. And it's going to create a little simpler track with the kick on it. And now, there you go, you have your kick. So what we're going to do then is we're going to highlight a section this long inside of this arrangement here. And you're going to double click again, or right click if you're on Windows, and hit insert empty MIDI clip. From there, we're going to go here on C3 because that's the original pitch of the sample. And we're going to put in some notes. I'm double clicking. And then I'm going to drag it out like this. So it's a quarter note in length. Okay, so we got that. Now, if you drag this over here, it'll loop and it'll go to 8 bars. And then you can hit Command L or Control L on Windows. And now we're looping that. So from there, the next thing you got to make is a bass. We're going to make another MIDI track the same way I showed you before. And we're going to go over here to instruments. Now you can use a lot of things. I'm going to be using Ableton's operator for this today. What you're going to do is you're going to take this thing here that says wave. And you're going to go saw. Right, let's go down low like that. And then you're going to go over here to the filter. You're going to bring the frequency down. Right, you're not going to hear anything yet. But then if you bring up this envelope here, you can see that now what's happening is it's basically telling the filter to start like that and then go down. That's all it is. Right? And so you should have something like this. Sometimes you got to play with that frequency. And then also I like to turn up the volume down here. And there we go. We have a nice trance bass. So now we're going to make a selection just as long as the other one that we did. Again, we're going to hit insert empty MIDI clip. Let's just drag that out now so it's looping. And then here you're going to put a note. Let's go down to A1 or A0. And we're just going to do like this on what's called the upbeats. Right? You can hear it already. And we're going to do that all the way through. And there you go. You got a kick and bass line. So already you can see you have a very solid sort of platform to build a track on, right? What you can also do here, if you want to make it a little bit cooler, is you can take this where it says duplicate here. You just made the clip twice as long before it loops back. And then what we can do is we can turn on the scale here. Let's do A minor. And now you can see that it kind of highlights where all the notes in the scale are. So let's go ahead and, using that, let's make a pattern like that and that. And then we're also going to select these by just clicking and dragging over them. And let's make them a little bit longer. Perfect. So we got a really great foundation for a track here. Let's go ahead and make two more MIDI tracks. On one of them, we're going to grab a hi-hat. Let's use this one. And then on one, we're going to get a clap. Cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the hi-hat first. And we're going to do the same thing we did before. But again, when you're doing drums, it's always C3 because that's going to be the default, the right original note. Cool, and then we'll make the clap pattern as well. For that, you're going to go on the 2. There's 1.2 and 1.4 here. So now it's going to be going like that, right? So now you got your basic trance beat. And let's honestly take this bass and move it up a little bit as well. I'm going to put it in C. And we'll put the scale to C minor. Usually a minor scale is what you want to build this on. Cool. Now you can throw in a lot more percussion. I think to keep it simple for something like this, for like a first time kind of thing, a good thing to do now would be get some of these rave loops. Right? These classic sort of things you hear in a lot of trance. It's also in hard house and hard groove and techno, right? But if you bring one of these in, and you're just going to bring the volume down, which is this right here. And we're already getting like a really nice groove. Now if you want to be fancy, you could go ahead and make a MIDI track here. And let's grab a percussion. Like this one. And we'll make a little pattern. And we're going to throw this on this 16th note here, right after the 1.3. Right? And then let's take that, bring down the volume a little bit. Now this one, we're just going to drag the loop over again. And let's duplicate the pattern here, like we did before, and take out the second one. So now you have something that just hits once every 2 bars. So we already have a really great groove. And you can see if you start with this, it becomes a lot less daunting, right? Because now we have, you know, something to really work on, and it's not this like kind of impossible thing. It's just going methodically, step by step, and doing what it needs, right? I can see volume is going to be your friend. The nice thing with trance is it's really not about a lot of processing. It's about clean, simple, well-made elements that really don't, I mean, these don't even have any effects on them, and they just already sound good, right? Like even this I selected because it's just already kind of fitting really well into the mix. So volume is really going to be your friend. Now we're going to make 2 synths to kind of round this out. So let's go ahead and make another MIDI track here. And we're going to get wavetable. Again, you can use a lot of different synths, but I like using wavetable for this. We're going to make a classic trance lead. We're going to take this here and bring it up to that. So it starts as a sine wave. And we're going to make it a saw wave. Cool. Then we're going to go here to unison and hit classic. You can play with a lot of these. I mean, they're all pretty much give you a cool trancey, right, kind of lead, like, right. So let's go ahead and do classic. And then the last thing, if you want to really get it, is we're going to take this low pass filter and put it there, right? So the filter, the sound's just filtered a little bit, but we're going to go here and put this envelope on it using this. And now you kind of get a little bit more punch on your sound. Cool. So from there, we're going to just add a little bit of reverb in the audio effects track. Bring up the decay a little bit and maybe bring that dry wet to about there. And then also I think something pretty important for the trance leads is a bit of delay. Usually I put that before the reverb, and we're going to hit this 4 here, so it's doing quarter notes. Cool. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make a MIDI clip again. We're going to highlight a section this big, and we're going to do insert empty MIDI clip, and we're going to hit C minor on our scale. So now we're seeing just the notes from C minor, right? And then we can make something within this, right? Like let's do... And then what we're going to do is we're going to highlight all of these again, and we're going to hit Command D or Control D if you're on Windows, and just push it over there. But we're going to take this one note and move it back to there. Cool, so we have a nice little trance pluck lead. Let's make one more MIDI track here, and now we're going to make a pad to follow the chords. Now what you can do for this is you can take your bass line and hit Command C or Control C and Windows to copy it. And then what we're going to do is delete every second note. And this is basically going to allow us to create a pattern that just follows the same chord progression as the bass. We're going to highlight all of these, and with the arrow, move them back over to here, to the start, drag them out. And then what we're going to do is using the scale here, you can see where the chord notes would go, right? Like, you know, with this one, it's going to be a basic C minor chord where you can see that that kind of fits really well with that. Here, it's going to share that same note, so you can do that. And we're going to do like one of these. Here, you're going to do, you can see that there's a lot of notes that are shared between the chords to follow the progression. Right, and then with this one, we're going to do like this. And now we have a chord progression. Now, if you really want to be cool, what you can do is take all of the middle notes here and move them up an octave. You hold down Shift and press up, and you'll hear it. It kind of makes the chords a little bit nicer and more spread out, and just a little bit like more futuristic. So from there, we're going to get wavetable again, and we're going to make a pretty simple kind of trance pad. We're going to take this thing here that says amp. This is telling it like how the notes are basically spread out. Let's bring everything up an octave again by selecting it and do Shift and up. And then what we're going to do is let's do a square wave for this one. And see, when I bring that amp envelope up, it kind of gives you a more flat, powerful sound. Let's do some noise unison on this one. Bring it down in volume, give it a little bit of reverb so it's kind of more like dreamy. And let's bring it up one more octave so it kind of stands on its own. And see, it's just about leveling. If you put this at the right spot in the mix, it works really well. So there it is. If you followed along, you should have your own little trance track here just started that you can work with, something simple to kind of get you going. Like I said, guys, I just wanted to make something for the beginners because I know a lot of these tutorials I make might be hard to follow if you're a bit new to this stuff. So if you follow this, you really can't go wrong. Again, as you can see, if you start with those drums and bass to begin with, the whole thing comes together a lot quicker. So that's me for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. Once again, you can get Chord Trance at the top of the description. It's an awesome value if you're trying to get started making trance music like this. It also has some Ableton templates that you can just work with yourself, so you can already kind of see how they're laid out. Definitely make sure to grab that in the description. Thanks for the support, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.